Dear Dad, I'm writing this the way I do most things now. Slowly, without an audience, in the early morning before the work starts. The fields don't care what time it is. Neither do I, anymore. I want to tell you about last Christmas, not the version you've been telling people. The actual one. The cards started when I was 23. I didn't notice the first year. I assumed it was an oversight. A photo taken at a gathering I'd missed, printed before anyone thought to pause. Mom always waited until the last week of November. I told myself the timing was tight. The second year I noticed. The third year I understood. By the fifth year, I had stopped expecting my face to be in the frame, but I kept expecting someone to mention it, to offer something. An explanation, or at least the discomfort that should accompany one noti, did. You mentioned it once, and only because I asked directly. We were on the phone. I remember I was standing in the equipment shed, covered in grease, and I'd finally decided to say the thing I'd been carrying for years. Why am I not in the family photos? You were quiet for a moment. Then you said it. You're a farmer, Thomas. What did you expect? I've thought about that sentence for a long time. I don't think you meant it as cruelly as it landed. I think you genuinely believed it was an explanation. That there was a version of the world where what I did for a living sorted me into a different category of person. One that didn't quite fit the Christmas card, that the image you wanted to project to your friends and neighbors had a certain shape, and I disrupted it. I think you believed that. I'm not sure which is worse. If you did or if you didn't. What you didn't watch, because you weren't there, was what happened after I hung up that day. I went back to work. I finished the season. Then I started buying the parcel to the east when it came available. Because the owner was retiring. And I'd been patient for 4 years. The year after that I diversified into a contract with a regional food distributor. Slowly, methodically, without telling anyone in particular, I built something. Not to prove a point. I want to be honest about that. I built it because the work made sense to me in a way that approval never had. When you called last October, I felt it immediately. That particular warmth people produce when they need something. Mom said it first. We want the whole family together this year. 15 years of cards, and suddenly the whole family. I drove 4 hours on Christmas Eve. I walked into the living room and read it in under a minute. The lawyer's folder on the dining table, my sister's husband's posture, too careful, too still. The way you and Mom were positioned near the hallway, not the door. Someone had a debt, or a lien, or a situation that required a signature and a specific kind of asset as collateral, a farm, maybe. Something with land. I stood in the doorway for a moment. I looked at the tree, which was decorated exactly the way it always was. I thought about the crossword. No, that's someone else's story. I thought about the drive, about the equipment shed, about the sentence. Then I got back in my truck. I didn't slam the door. I didn't make a speech. I just left, the way you leave a place when you finally understand it isn't yours. What I mailed you was not a cruel letter. I want that on record. It was a single page. It outlined, clearly and without embellishment, what I own, what it's worth, and the name of my attorney. Not as a threat, but as information, so there would be no further misunderstanding about what category of person I am, or what I might be called upon to provide. I also included the last 15 Christmas cards. Bundled. Held together with a single rubber band, not as an accusation. As documentation. You called 4 days later. You were loud. I let you be loud for a while because I think you needed it, and because I had nothing urgent to say. When the loudness ran out, I said one thing. I'm glad you finally called, Dad. Merry Christmas. Then I hung up and went back to work. The fields are quiet this time of year. There's a particular kind of stillness in January that I used to find lonely. I don't anymore. I find it accurate. A silence that doesn't pretend to be something else, that doesn't send you cards with your face missing and call it family. I'm not writing this to hurt you. I'm writing it because I spent 15 years waiting to be included in an image, and somewhere along the way I stopped needing the image at all. I have the land. I have the work. I have mornings like this one. I think that's enough. Thomas.